Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel. Wishing you a happy early start to this nice Thursday morning over here, one day after the destruction of the FOMC. And what came out of that meeting? Well, what came out of that meeting is that Jay Powell and the Fed are going to continue to do what they said they're going to do, which is raise rates until something breaks. And everyone's surprised. Everyone's surprised yet again. By the way, if you're interested in sort of macro analysis and understanding these sorts of things, definitely check out Elio Trade's channel. He is really good with that stuff and makes it into a clear, concise way that's just easy to understand for anyone who doesn't really have like a full-on financial education. Anyways, other than that, on the topic of the Fed, I was explaining to my girlfriend Elsie yesterday what the Fed is and what interest rates are, because we were actually watching the we were watching the hearing together, which is, it's very sexy, by the way. And so I get done explaining it to her, and then she looks at me very seriously, like in the eyes, and she says, "Okay, but do these people know what they're doing? And how do we know we can trust these guys?" I'm just like, that's a very interesting observation, Elsqueen. Yes, I have some of the same questions as well. Just fucking beautiful, man. Just fucking beautiful. So pure of heart. Anyways, other than that, I want to jump right on into the charts, waste no more time. And let's start it off here actually with Nasdaq, looking at Nas Futures. So whenever we get an event like yesterday and things aren't necessarily fully clear on Bitcoin, or maybe a little bit less so, I want to be looking at charts that are correlated to it, or Bitcoin correlated to it, I should say, and see if there's anything more obvious going on. And in this case, I certainly think so. As far as Nasdaq Futures go, what do we have? We have yet again another lower high and a series of lower highs and a pretty nasty secular downtrend across basically all markets right now. 5-day time frame, which is what we're on right now, is printing a phantom drive of hidden bearish divergence. The daily has already confirmed hidden bearish divergence as of 2 days ago, and the 2 days is putting in the same thing as well here. So already Nasdaq is pretty much back down around its lows. I expect that it probably tests, somewhere a little bit lower in the interim. And probably Bitcoin, and that kind of does provide a bit of a downside bias in the short and medium term for Bitcoin as well. Keep in mind that the next big event as far as economic data goes, or economic data is just shit that matters, is going to be next Tuesday, November 8th, where US midterms are going to be happening. So do keep that in mind, because until then, I really don't expect too much to be changing. And then after that, you got the next FOMC meeting in December, of course. Anyways, so yes, this isn't just on Nasdaq Futures, it's also on SPY Futures as well. SPY Futures obviously holding it up a little bit better than Nasdaq in this case, but the same issues going on right here. You have a rejection right at the 55. You have another lower high. Very likely to come back down a little bit more. Same thing on the daily as well. Same drives of hidden bearish divergence. 5 days, same shit here too. It's basically all the same chart. We're trading all the same asset. This is a liquidity crisis, not necessarily like an individualistic stock market. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that are doing okay, but you get my point. Anyways, now let's go into the Bitcoin. Let's go into the Bitcoins. Yes, inside the Bitcoin. I'm going deep inside those orange coins, baby. Going right down and deep and dirty into this one. And what do you know? We were looking at the range yesterday between about 20,200 to the downside versus about 20,950 to the upside. Bitcoin did close a ball sack here below the 20,200-ish region. Again, in this case, I mean, technically speaking, it's a little bit below there as to where I actually should be looking at 20,180 or so. But I suspect that based off of what Nasdaq is doing and based off of what SPY futures are doing, probably does break the range lows and come down into the $19,000 territory. Of course, there's going to be bounces along the way, namely in the mid-19s, 19.5-ish or so. And then, of course, you got below there, you got basically the upper 18s to basically very low 19s. So we kind of update on that one as things go onwards and forwards. The only way that I really change my mind on that is if Bitcoin pops back up between today and Friday and reclaims 20,800. That's going to be a big number coming up here. I'll explain why with the data in a second or in a few seconds. But for right now, as far as the lower term timeframes go, it is very interesting to see that 4-hour BBWP representing volatility is still, pretty much fully contracted. Yeah, it's coming off the lows now, but I suspect that this aligns with a move later today at the earliest, sometime around US market open, and probably more reasonably tomorrow, Friday as well. So ultimately going to be a little bit of waiting in the short term here. Other than that, referencing short-term time frame stochastic momentum, we can see that the 6-hour time frame is currently pivoted at 20,300, and a little bit weak right there, I should say, with volatility again on the lows. 4-hour time frame is also going to be pivoted at 20,250, so very close to the 6-hour. 3-hour time frame is also going to be pivoted at 20,250, and hourly is going to be pivoted at, is it going to be, what's the number? What's the magical number? Load, motherfucker! 20,250. There we go. That's the key. If you want trading to view to do what you want to do, or do what you intended for it to do, is to just yell at it, because that works. Anyways, in this case, you can see all the lower term timeframes kind of pivoted around that region. That is to say that if you start to see these timeframes close below that region, especially on a 4-hour timeframe, that's at the point where I'd really be looking for that next continuation drive below $20,000. Again, bounces along the way most likely, but probably below $20,000 after that point. Okay, so now that we've gone through that, let's go into the somewhat higher term timeframes here. Starting off with the daily. The daily still does have potential hidden bearish divergence in play here of 3 drives variety. It's not just on the daily, but also going to be potentially present on the 2-day time frame and the 5-day time frame as well. These are all kind of building here. What would confirm bearish divergence on the daily, 2-day, and 5-day would be with a higher time frame closure, no less than definitely a 12-hour, preferably a daily, but 12-hour probably gets it below $20,000. Anywhere below there, and then yes, we have hidden bearish divergence confirmed on basically all these time frames. Daily Jewel has already like lost its upside curvature as of the 2nd, so that was yesterday, confirmed. And even the DMI is starting to print red now too, which is a little bit more concerning. Although that is unconfirmed, it will be confirmed on today's closure if you do have the Jewel. So in this case, if you see that and those get confirmed, very likely coming back down to the prior weekly range lows. And I'd be saying the same thing as before when Bitcoin was around these regions, essentially in that while things might break down further, ultimately I still need to see a closure below the weekly range lows before looking at that as an actionable opportunity, or at least putting my name on like a call suggesting that Bitcoin's going to fall another 15 to 30% or so. The reason why is because just like in 2018, there were many a fucking times where Bitcoin came down to $6,000, and in many premature trades taken in that region, of which long term they were certainly on the right direction, but you might have been like 4 to 6 months early, and obviously that is just giving up potential profits, in that case. Anyways, as far as the daily goes, I did want to reference this chart over here. So this was the daily volatility versus stochastic momentum chart. So if you've been following this channel for a while now, you know where I'm going with this one. But basically, the new thing to be aware of is that yes, the signal is done. It's kaputs as far as I'm concerned. The signal that was born on the 24th of October now, we've seen the cross to the downside already happen. So that means that the signal is done, and that means that we saw about a 10% move. If I actually measure this right, I might get it on. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, about 10.25%. So within the context of the statistics that we're looking at for this particular move, that's definitely a disappointment, I'd say, although you can't really be disappointed with stats. I mean, just it is what it is, right? You can't take more than what the market gives you. But on the bottom end, we were looking at, about a 15% as far as the first standard deviation goes move, which would have put Bitcoin somewhere around like $21,500. In this case, Mark's given about 10.25, and fair enough. Okay, that just is what it is. It's one of the lowest reads that we've seen born upon this signal since tracking it over the last, the full history of CME. In fact, it is literally the lowest. We've seen several other ones in the teens, but nothing as low as 10%. Ultimately, though, can't fucking fight it. It is what it is. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Anyways, as far as the daily goes, and to reference again why I think 20,800 is a big pivot, that if Bitcoin could reclaim to the upside, it'd be, very likely implying at least a move into the mid 21s. 21.5 would be the next sort of targeted region, with potential for significantly more. But hey, the daily stochastic pivot is where? 20,800. Whereas the 2-day time frame pivot? 20,400, not closing today, by the way, closing tomorrow. And then the 5-day, which is it's closing at 3 days. So it's like literally not even relevant at all right now. That's significantly lower. So not worth discussing right now. But ultimately that is why I look at 20,800 as like a big area now. If Bitcoin can reclaim it, especially on a higher term time frame closure, like a 12-hour or a daily, very likely we see, price action towards 21 and a half, and maybe even 23 and a half throughout the month of November. But for right now, it does look like, based off of traditional markets, it's a lot more likely to come down here to the mid to low 19s than not, and probably do some more of this boring ass grinding sideways movement that everyone loves. So yeah, I think that's a good place to leave off on a particular video like this. Should probably give a little bit of notice to Bybit's current promotion going on. They're offering 0% maker fees on derivative contracts, which is actually really, really big deal. I believe it's only with MyLink. All in general, they do have another promotion going on, not to be confused with, which also applies to MyLink, by the way, 0% on all spot orders, whether it be maker or taker. But this one is specific for derivative orders, which is very important to myself, and I know a lot of other people out there. And just to give a bit of insight into into my dealings with Bybit, one of the big things that I always argue for when figuring these things out is that we want fee reductions. So that's kind of what I try to make my particular link relevant for, as again, it's just more money in your pocket at the end of the day. Anyways, that's a good place to be leaving off on a video like this. About 10 minutes too long, and there we go. With that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.